Okay, this is part two of our series on three-point perspective. And if you take a look here, this is the setup from part one. If you have arrived at this video without doing part one, I suggest you go back because this won't make much sense to you at this point. Quick review. I've made myself a vertical picture plane here. You just have to put your your paper vertically. I've got my horizon line down here on the bottom third. Remember, the horizon line is the eye level. Everything above the horizon line you're looking up at. Everything below you're looking down. I've got 3 vanishing points here, 2 of them on the horizon line, and then 1 up here, and this is going to give me the effect of standing at the base of a skyscraper and looking up. So in part 1, I went ahead and created these 3 cubes using three-point perspective. I'm going to put 1 more in, and then I'm going to show you how to turn them into letters. This was a favorite of my advanced classes, and they had a lot of fun with this project. So I'm going to place 1 more cube right here, and let's go through the steps quickly. First thing I'm going to create is my corner that's closest to me, and to create that, I've got to use this point up here. Let me turn this a little bit, and let's just put it about right here. Okay, so there is my corner that lined up with this point right here. I've got to create the top and the bottom and the sides next. So to do that, I'm going to use my 2 points on the horizon line. Remember, I draw dark. You don't have to. It just shows up better on the camera when I do. Make this dark, and I'm just drawing the light lines here just to show that they do go back to the point. Done my right side, let's do my left. And it really isn't necessary to draw the lines back unless it helps you. As long as they're lined up, you can just draw the line as far as you need it. Okay, so again, I have my corner closest to me, top and bottom on my sides, and I've got to end this form off. As I say many, many, many times, do not put vertical lines here. That's fine for 1 and 2 point perspective, not for 3. For a 3 point perspective, there are no vertical lines. These lines go up to this vanishing point. So let's go ahead and line that up. And I'm going to make a short side and a long side. This tends to work better when you're doing letters. You don't have to. It's just something that I liked to do. I just like the look better. Okay, so here we are. Let's get rid of these extra dark lines because we don't need those confusing us in any way. All right. Knowing what I know about perspective, if it's above the horizon line, I'm going to see underneath the cube. Be very careful not to put this too close to the actual horizon line, or else you get a tiny, skinny little bottom, which is hard to draw. So to create the bottom, I've already done here and here. I've got to go to this corner and this corner and go to the opposite points with my line. And again, I explained in the other video, you know, common sense, you got to have something like that for the bottom. And because it is perspective, which is a mechanical drawing method, you cannot freehand it. But, you know, I use my common sense. I know this line's going to go this way, so it's going to end up at that point. So let's do that. My high school students liked perspective because it was step by step. Only problem with it, it is a little restricting if you're not the kind of person that likes step by step. I think as you're learning, it's probably a very good thing to know. So, okay, so there I am. I've got my cube right there. So that review is done. All right, way back when we were doing letters, now I'll just use my little scrap area here. We were going ahead and we were fitting letters into the rectangle. For example, if it was the letter S, I was drawing these two rectangles here to create that letter in there. In this case, the plane that we're working on is going to be slanted in some way, like that. But the same thing applies. I'm going to draw the part of the letter that is not there, if that makes sense. This is the negative space. Okay, let me explain that again. And I'm just working with this like that. Let's say it's the letter M. I'm not going to actually draw an M. I'm going to draw these shapes. So that's what's left is the letter M. All right. That takes a little bit of practice. I've been doing this for a long, long time. So if you need to practice on a scrap piece of paper, go ahead. All right, so let's go ahead and put some letters in here. We're going to start off with something pretty simple. We'll start off with the letter T, and we're going to do it on this plane right here. All right, so I know, let's just do a quick problem solving here. I know that the T has to fit in there. Okay, that's my letter T there. I have lines that are going in different directions here. I have these and I have these. So common sense tells me these lines have got to end up at a point somewhere. So let's go back to this plane, and I'm going to guess this line for the top of the T goes to this point, and that would be correct. So I'm going to put that in. And then the lines for this part of the letter T are going to go up to the vanishing point. So let's put those in. And again, as long as they're lined up, I do not have to extend my line all the way up. Okay, that's not very even, but it'll work. Get rid of all those little extra lines. Okay, hopefully you're with me. You can see the letter T right there on the side. Now, let's start getting rid of things that are not the letter, like this line here. Don't need that. Let me switch to the other eraser. It's a little better. Okay, so I don't need that. And I really don't need this either, because the T stops up there. So let me get rid of that. And I don't need this. If you're not sure about what you need and don't need, just wait and erase them later. I like to erase them as I'm going. Okay, I have used this vanishing point and this vanishing point to do this side. Now, again, I'm looking at this in common sense. I know if this is a three-dimensional figure, I've got lines that are coming back in this direction to complete it. Again, got to use my vanishing point. So here we go. From the top and the bottom, like that. And then I've got a line from this corner here. And I line that up. It's going to be very skinny. All right, let me get rid of all those little extra thingies. Because this is so thin, I'm going to shade this in so you can see it a little better. Make that a little less confusing. Okay. Now, again, I've got to end my form. Okay? Common sense tells me there's a line that goes here. I can't make it horizontal. It's got to go to this point. Again, I'm going to shade that in. Okay, so that's the underside of this here. I've got to make the side here. Now, it's not going to be all the way back here because if you measure this side and this side should be about the same length. Okay, and if I were to draw this all the way back, that just wouldn't look right. So if you look closely, there's a little corner right here where this line and this line meet. Now what I do, I'm going to make my side from there. Again, can't make it vertical, so use that point at the top. Get that lined up. Get rid of this little extra. Well, maybe not that much. Okay. So you should be able to look at this and tell where I got these lines. Okay. Going to here, going to here, going to the left point, going to the left point, and 1, 2, 3, going up to this top point. All right, let's take a look at that though. That's not finished. That letter T has something missing, and it has to do with the vanishing point in the horizon line. In fact, what I'm going to do, since I erased some, let me go ahead and put the rest of the horizon line back in, since I'll be able to see that now. Okay, look closely at this. There's definitely something missing there. Because this part of the T is above my eye level, I can see under here. I can see under here too. So I go to this corner. Doesn't make any sense to take it to this point. So I take it to this point. Okay, so there it is. There's a letter T in 3-point perspective. Let's work on something a little different. Let's do the letter S. The letter S, if kids always ask me to do that one. And if you remember from this little sketch here and here, we're actually just drawing those two rectangles in there. So I'm going to put my letter on this plane right here, on the bigger plane. If you remember before I said, you know, I've got a big plane and then a shorter one. I tend to do that and put my letter on the bigger one. So, all right. Let's do my letter S. Using my vanishing point, you can see it goes down to there. Then I come down here, use another vanishing point. I'm sorry, use the same vanishing point to make another line. Now, because my planning was not that good, bottom part's going to be kind of skinny. But let's finish this. I know I have to close it off here. Okay, just like that. I know I need another one right here. It's going to look really awkward because it's going to be really skinny. But that is a result of my poor planning. So we're just going to have to deal with that. All right, I use this vanishing point to do these two lines. I know I've got to end this, so I use that point. All right, so if you take a look at that, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of this in here. Put that line back in there. Resist the urge to do it freehand. Okay, so now you can see the letter S. I've created that just by drawing those two rectangles, one here and one here. All right, so I've got some parts already done for me. Bottom is finished here. Okay, the letter S is there. I don't need all of this, so I'm just going to lighten it. But what I'm going to do next, since I've drawn the S on this side, I'm going to create this side by using this vanishing point. So I've got this corner that can go back to this point, and I've got this corner that can go back to this point. Like that. And then this one up here, just like this. Okay, and I'm going to shade in the side to make it more visible. The more you do these, and the more you challenge yourself, the easier it's going to be. Okay? I don't want you just to learn how to copy, because then when you try to do it on your own, you don't really have any knowledge of it. I want you to learn how to follow the steps. I want you to learn to problem solve as you go. Look at a line, or look at a cube or a letter. Is something missing? Which vanishing point do I need to use? What do I have to do to make it look real? Or look correct, I guess is a better term. Okay, so we took lines back from here and here, but I've also got this inside corner. There you go. And then I've got this corner. Right there. So what I've created is the underside here of the S, and this little wall here, the other side of this. Okay, just like on the T, one thing is missing. If you look right here, that looks incomplete. Common sense says I need a line that's going here. Well, lines up with that. There you go. Here's the underside of the S. The top part of the S, I should say. If it helps you to see them better, to shade it, go ahead. I think I just do it out of habit. All right, we're going to tackle another letter here. We're going to tackle a letter with a diagonal. Let's do the letter K. And I want to do diagonals because letter K is nothing more than 3 triangles like that to create it. But here's the thing, diagonals don't go to any vanishing point. Let me show you. Let's set up the letter K. Okay? No pun intended there. All right, letter K. I know I have a line that goes up here. So I'm going to use that vanishing point. I'm putting it on this surface right here. All right, I know the rest of it goes like this. Okay? You will drive yourself crazy trying to figure out how to do those using the points. So one thing to tell my students, in fact, I must have said it a lot because they were going to get me a shirt with it printed on it. A diagonal is just a diagonal. It is wherever you want it. Now, I do make these lines parallel right here because I think it looks better. But these diagonals don't go to any specific point. That is the only exception to the rule that I can think of right now. Now let's do one here. And do one right here. And my kids would come up to me and say, Mrs. Wood, where does the diagonal go? What vanishing point? And I would tell them every time, a diagonal is just a diagonal. That's all. And again, I must have said it a lot. My advanced classes would ask me, I think, just to get me to say it. It was one of my Mrs. Wood isms back in the classroom. Okay, so there's my letter. All right, now I do have to use my vanishing points. So, to create the top of it, I just am looking to see where I can draw lines from. Here's a corner, here's a corner. This one's already drawn. This one's already drawn, and here's a corner here. I've used this side already, so I need to use the other side to complete it. Let me go through it, and hopefully it will become apparent to you. The trick to letters is just trying out different ways. And if it looks right, good. If it doesn't, then, you might have to use a different point. You may have to go in another direction. Okay, so there's the tops of the K. We've already got this line from here, so I know I can go from here back to the vanishing point. Just like that. See, that's lined up even though I don't draw it all the way. So let's get rid of this line because I don't need it. It's not part of the K. I've got to get a better small eraser. I think that one has just seen better days. All right. Put this line back in, and as always, resist the urge to draw freehand. Get rid of some of this. All right, taking a look at my K, I got to figure out what it is that I need to finish it. Okay? Best thing to do is look for what's missing. Okay, for example, right here, I'm missing a line here. This line, although I'm tempted to make it vertical, actually lines up with this point. Just like that. And again, let me shade this in so it makes a little more sense to you. All right, we'll shade this one too. Some of this is going to seem kind of tedious, and probably this video because it's gone on longer than I wanted it to. But just keep in mind, the more you practice this, the better you're going to get. Okay, here's a problem to solve right here. What am I going to do to make this look like a K? If I just close it off right there, it just looks like a big extra chunk. So what I do then is I go to what's called an inside corner, which is right here. I line it up with my point, like that, and it just shows how it comes in and out. Now, with these are diagonals. So, diagonal, notice it's parallel to this line, and look, it's not lined up with any kind of points. All it is parallel to this line, just like that. Then I know I need one here, and again, it's a diagonal, and diagonals are just diagonals. I line it up with this one, slide it back. And you might hear my whiny dog in the background because Phoebe wants to go out for a walk. She's just going to have to wait. I hope this has made sense to you. If it doesn't, what I would suggest is when you create your cubes, start with simple letters. Start with T, C, U, L. Okay, those are all fairly simple. And I'm sorry, my computer screen just turned off and is not recognizing me. Let me try this. So I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, we're back. As I said, start with T, C, U, L. These are all pretty easy to begin with. You can graduate to S. N is always a good one. And, N, K, Y, they all have diagonals. You can even try a Z before you get to any kind of diagonals right there. So, have fun with it. Go with your basics, set up your form, use your vanishing points, and then start creating different letters. It's a challenge. You're not going to be able to do it perfectly the first time, but remember, in this case, you want to follow the steps. If you have any questions or run into any issues, go ahead and mention that in the comments, and I'll help you as well as I can. Next video, we're going to do Chapter 3. We're going to work in the danger zone here.